Alright, let's talk about how you can set your students up so that they are able to actually comment on the blog. This is where you get a little control over, you can control who sees the blog this way, but just adding users to your blog allows your students to become a part of the blog instead of just any person out in the outside world that comes on and reads the blog. So you have some instruction here to add users that have already been created, and at this point you don't have any, so we're not going to worry about that part. To add new users, simply enter your username you'd like to give them, and it warns you, please choose carefully as it cannot be changed. Alright, when they add their username, it's going to, when they post on the blog, it's going to include their name. So make sure that you consider this as you're adding their names. Probably want to think about maybe just using their first name, or even at that you may want to do student 1, student 2, student 3 and just issue students their own name or their own ID to recognize by. But I'm going to go ahead and use Joey as my example here, so I'm going to use the first name and then add her email address, and I can give a password or I can let one automatically be generated. If I'm the teacher in the class, two things that you need to know. One is that all your students have an email account set up through school, and we can get you instructions on what that email address is and how the kids access that. And two, when you're doing the password right here, I think that I would go ahead and use the same password that they use to log on to computers, and that might help on how they're remembering. Or maybe you can use one consistent password like your name as something easy to remember. But think about that as you're creating these, because your kids will have questions and you don't want them to have a million passwords to remember. Okay, and then finally you get to assign the user role. So you have choices here: administrator, editor, author, contributor, and subscriber. And if you'll come up here, there's a link. You may select the level that you wish them, and we're talking students, to access the site, and you can find out more about the different levels here. So if you forget, you can go in and see how each of those levels are defined. And so it gives you the explanation for each of them. And as you're working with your students, I think that I would put them at the contributor level, so that means that they can add their own posts or pages to the blog, but they can't publish them. So you get to approve, you get to see everything before it actually publishes, and then you're the only one that can push the publish button to make them go live. Okay, so I lost my information there. But you would go through and you can add each of your students, and then when you get to the end of that, it's giving me a warning telling me that Joey already exists. Let me get her name. Okay, and here's my notice up here that those users were added. So now the users I added will receive an email that tells them that they have been added as contributors, and it gives them their password, and so now they can go to the website and they will be able to log in and log out as well.